Good evening and welcome back to 31 Horror Nights. It's October 11th and tonight's classic is Alien. Alien is another one of the big ones when it comes to classics in the horror genre. It's been called one of the scariest movies of all time, it's spawned a very profitable franchise, and a lot of very iconic characters. Ripley has become one of the most famous female characters, not just in horror movies, just movies in general. And the movie that started it all was Alien, a horror movie from 1979 that has the tagline, "In space, no one can hear you scream." I watched it today, and it's fine. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. I didn't love it, but it holds up okay. The plot of Alien is that there's this ship, I think it's like a cargo ship, they're just like transporting stuff from one place to another. And at one point they get a signal from a planet, and protocol, like the law, basically dictates that they have to go check it out and see what it is. And when they touch down on the planet and send out some scouts, one of them gets attacked by this alien creature that gets into his helmet somehow and latches onto his face. And when they all get in, apparently it's protocol to quarantine like new alien species, and of course that makes sense, but due to urgency and somebody disobeying orders, they're let in anyway. As it turns out, that creature that latched on to the crew member is a parasitic sort of life form and used his body to create a new life form, one that comes out and crawls around and grows at alarming speeds and starts killing everybody on board. Once the crew fully realizes what's going on, they basically have two options: either abandon ship or try to kill the alien. To me, at least, one big problem with Alien was the pacing. What I just described to you, like up until the point where they actually figure out what's going on and what sort of situation they're in, that's probably about like 2/3 of the movie. This movie is 2 hours long, and the first part of it is really padded. It does keep getting better as it continues, but I feel like it took too long getting to the good stuff. The main character of Alien is Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, and I thought she was a very good character. She didn't really come off as the sort of badass action hero that she might actually become in later movies, I don't know. In the first movie, at least, she just sort of seemed like a very normal person, and she was a pretty good main character. Well, I do like some of the technicals of the alien species they introduced. I believe they're called the Xenomorphs, even though they never really call them that in the movie. I don't know if I'm really that impressed with this design. It doesn't have eyes, it's mostly just this black, leathery, shiny thing that you don't really get a good look at. And I don't know, it's not as scary as I think I was expecting it to be. But some of the ideas involving this alien are really good. One of them is that with the facehugger, at least, the parasitic part of it, is that it will like dig in so far into the host's skin that if you try to pull it off, it will rip that person's face off. And to prevent you from trying to cutting it off, its blood is a very, very powerful acid. So powerful that it ate through like 3 levels of ship. So basically, once it latches onto you, you're more or less dead, because once it injects the eggs into you, it'll like fall off, and then an alien will pop out of your stomach and you'll die. Even though I've been told from multiple sources that this is one of the scariest movies ever made, I didn't really think it was that scary. But the plot was interesting and the characters were good. It's pretty slow, at least for me, so I didn't love it, but I do like a lot of the ideas here. Is it one of the best and scariest horror movies ever made? I don't think so at all, but I thought it was okay. Time for some spoilers. There is a twist in the movie, and I didn't really think there was going to be a twist. One of the crew members, I think his name was Ash, he's the one who let them in despite it not being protocol, and it was basically endangering everybody's lives on board. He kept doing other things, like pushing that they don't try to kill the facehugger just yet, or stuff like that. And at first I just thought that they needed a character to be stupid to get the plot going, but it's actually a little bit smarter than that. Later on in the movie, you figure out that that person, Ash, is actually a robot who was sent in by the corporation. I don't remember if they specify what corporation it was, but they basically programmed the ship. They like refer to like the AI of the ship as Mother, which made me think of like Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey a bit. But it turns out the ship has the basic priority of keeping the alien alive, and all the lives of the crew members is secondary. The robot crew member kind of explains that I think that they wanted to use that alien as a weapon, and admittedly it would be a very effective weapon. Just drop an egg in a place that you want wiped out and you wouldn't have to wait too long. But that's a very, very dangerous weapon and probably extremely hard to control, so they're certainly banking on a lot with this scheme, including that the ship's crew will just lie down and let the alien wipe them out, which they don't. At that point in the movie, when they find this all out, there's only 3 crew members left, and they make a plan to get in an escape pod, escape the ship, and blow it up with the alien inside it. During this process, two of them die, so the only one left is Ripley and actually a cat. They had a cat on board the entire time, and I was kind of expecting the cat to die very early, be one of the first ones to go, but no, the cat stays alive until the very end. Ripley brings him with her onto the escape pod, and she flies away, and she just barely makes it away in time before the entire ship explodes. Now, the entire time I was thinking, okay, the alien made it on the escape pod. When are they going to reveal the alien? And they went a surprisingly long time letting you think that everything is okay, but obviously the alien had to have gone with them. There was still like 10 minutes of movie left at that point. And yes, the alien is still in the escape pod. And at first I thought Ripley was just like freaking out and going into a closet, but then she like looks around and examines her surroundings, and she comes up with a pretty good plan, I would say. She like puts on a spacesuit, and like the cat is like in a freezing chamber or like a sleeping chamber, so it's like sealed up. Even though that happened before she figured out there was the alien on board, but whatever. At least the cat's okay. So she straps herself to a chair with the spacesuit on, and then she I don't know what she really does. It was kind of it's kind of hard to understand any of the words that are said in this movie, or at least it was on the TV I was watching. But from what I gathered, she like used like exhaust ducts to like push the alien out in the open, and then she like ripped open the cargo hatch so that the alien is sucked out into the vacuum of space, and it like gets attached to like a cord, and it catches on the door, and the alien starts to try to climb back on the ship, but then she sees that it goes near a booster, so she like turns up the thrust, and it burns off, and it flies away, and then Ripley's actually safe. This movie had a pretty fun climax. In the end, I think it was kind of a good idea that the next movie, Aliens, was an action movie instead of a horror movie, because I feel like this setup is suited a lot more towards action than horror, at least in my opinion. I didn't really think that Alien was spectacular, but there are some good things in it, and overall I do think it came out on top in the end. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow.